Hey guys, Nathan Brandon Masters. Before I jump into this video, just want to remind you we went live yesterday. This is a 56-page action horror urban fantasy book written and drawn by me. If you like things like Constantine, Blade, or Underworld, you'll really enjoy Hexcraft Mechanics. This is issue 2, but number 1 is also available. So give it a look. Hope you like it. Hope you back it. And speaking of Hexcraft Mechanics, this young lady is Ashen Yu. If you've read Victor Locke Demon Noir, Epitaph Bread and Salt, Hexcraft Mechanics 1, or if you even saw the Epitaph Bread and Salt movie, you know this character. She's incredibly devious and manipulative, not to mention being a magic adept and very powerful telepath and remote viewer. She's a thorn in the side to many in the magic community, with the exception of the Sisterhood of Lilith, to whom she seems to be the most loyal. With her powers and sexuality, she pretty much gets whatever she wants, even if that means laying with the demon to gain access to something she felt would give her more power. In fact, she did do that in Victor Locke Demon Noir issue 1, and it's totally open to doing the same with members of Rise of Magic in Hexcraft Mechanics issue 1. But this video isn't about Ashen or her lack of discretion, as much as it's about a rabbit hole that I fell down while researching various aspects of her character. For all intents and purposes, Ashen and her brother are both manga characters, and initially I intended to draw them as such. But in today's climate, I think it would be kind of iffy to draw the only two Japanese characters as manga characters. Now, I think the audience would get it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool, ha ha. But I think there's a lot of other people who would pretend that they were super offended and would cause a lot of unnecessary problems for me. So I decided that that was something that I could just let go while still keeping the tropes. Not to mention, when Epitaph Bread and Salt was being redrawn, I didn't tell the artist about that, so, he didn't do it. Ashen is both an Imuto and a Yandere character. She is Imuto, little sister that looks up to her bigger brother, that being Rick, but she is also in love with Rick obsessively, which is where the Yandere trope comes in. In fact, one of the reasons she's so into plastic surgery and cosmetic enhancements is to be attractive to him, who, of course, it's his sister, and he's not looking at her like that. But that doesn't mean she won't try to drive a wedge in between him and his wife. And she is used to getting what she wants, one way or the other. Yandere refers to a person who is totally devoted or in love with another person, and it starts off nice and innocent and sweet, and then it becomes destructive, usually murderous. And believe me, Ashen Yu is not above murder. She may never have killed anyone, but she's not above doing it. Now, as I stated, this isn't about Ashen as much as a rabbit hole. And you guys know that, just like with the Mandela effect, if I fall down a rabbit hole, I'm sure as hell taking you with me. Let's get into the insanity that is Yandere Dev and Yandere Simulator. Now, here I need to place my disclaimer, and that is, I am not a huge anime guy, okay? All the anime stuff like that I love was way back in the day. We're talking about stuff like Battle of the Planets, Robotech, Tranzor Z, or Munzanger Z, as I learned was the actual name, and was actually a Shogun Warrior that I had one time and had no idea until one day I said, hey, that looks like my Shogun Warrior. And of course there's stuff like Speed Racer and Ninja Scroll and Akira, Revolutionary Girl Utena, and those are probably the ones that I can remember that I really like. Of course, there was one point in time I caught the flu, and I binge watched a lot of Pokemon and didn't know what the hell happened. I just knew I was supposed to root for Ash and Pikachu. But the last anime I really got into was Monster Matsume, and if you see that, that's a pretty interesting. That's like right up my alley. You got like the dude, you got the monster chicks, And if you don't know, yes, it's a harem anime. But on to this. Yandere Simulator is an upcoming stealth action video game in development by Yandere Dev. The game centers upon an obsessively lovesick schoolgirl named Ayano Aishi, also known as Yandere-chan, after the Japanese term Yandere, who has taken it upon herself to eliminate anyone she believes is monopolizing her crush's attention. Over the course of 10 weeks, Ayano will eliminate 10 different rivals in order to ensure that her crush, Senpai, will not fall for the other girls. Sounds pretty interesting, right? But of course, if that's all there was to it, I wouldn't be making a video about it. You have apparently a developer who's possibly as insane as his character. Okay, he's not that insane, but he's quite interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to use his photo because he's known for copyright striking people who use his photo. So I'm going to use this, which is from his YouTube channel. Now, I could talk about the creator himself and just how shady he is, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. We could be here for a good long time, and some of that I don't even understand. So I'm going to skip that and keep it strictly to the game. I mean, we're all crowdfunding here. I'm crowdfunding right now, as you guys know. And he was crowdfunding via Patreon. He had tons of people giving him money for this game. People were excited about this game. Now, originally the game was a little bit too risque and Steam banned it. Right now it's a PC-only game. People are still down with it. And because of the game's popularity, an organization called TinyBuild was willing to step in and help for free. And now you might know TinyBuild from a little game called Hello Neighbor. But they also make these games as well. So they know what they're doing. And they offered to rewrite this guy's whole game because it was going to take him too long to do it by himself. And a big part of this was his coding was bad. Now, there have been people who have done, games by themselves, and I don't want to rag on this guy too much because, like him, I too am a one-man show, doing comic books and everything, but he's a one-man show for his video game. I get it. But one thing that TinyBuild wanted to do that was really important was streamline his coding because it was really bad, at least for what he was trying to do. How bad was it? I'll let this guy in the dinosaur mask tell you.
Hi. So a little while ago, I tried out the game Yandere Simulator, and to my surprise, it ran decently well. Considering the fact that I have a beastly godly PC, right? But something stuck out to me, right? Something really charged my brain fumes, and that was that the game ran worse than Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, you see, I had been very interested in the Yandere Dev coding for a long time now, considering I tutor programming now. Let me tell you about these if-else statements, because we all know that this man uses an if statement, right?
Just a quick aside here. In programming, you have if statements and you have switch statements. Switch statements are generally considered better than if statements because of the fact that your computer has to process all that stuff. So the switch statement allows the computer to process it a little bit quicker. That's kind of a breakdown for us non-coders.
An if statement is a conditional statement where the program and computer will check and make sure and take the memory time to process the information and say, hey, wait, is this true? Yes or no? If it's not true, they skip over it. If it is true, they execute everything inside of the brackets. So, with all of these if statements within a code, right, every single if statement in his line of code is checked by the computer. I was browsing through a lot of the code, and I actually saw Yandere Dev have a script file that has a switch statement within the file. But right above that switch statement, there is an if-else statement that does the exact same fucking thing. He wrote this code just to prove that he knows how to write a switch statement. If you keep using if-else statements and say, that won't make much of a difference, I'll just keep using if-else statements, your performance will begin to suffer. And that's probably why the frame rate in this game is so bad.
Now, I'll put a link to his video along with others so that you can, if you really want to dive into this rabbit hole, you can. It's insanely interesting. It'll keep you up for hours. This particular video has a lot of information about game development. There's a section here about pathfinding and stuff. I'm not even into gaming like that, and I found this video very interesting, so you might want to go check that out. Now, technically, this is a demo. I don't even think it's a game. And if I'm wrong about it, maybe this is a full-blown game. The problem with it being a full-blown game is that it's 7 years late. I mean, with crowdfunding, timing is a thing, getting stuff out is a thing. You want to get stuff out on time, get it out as quick as possible. This game has been in development since 2014. Do you know what's happened since 2014? This is a game called Yandere School. It's basically Yandere Simulator. And it's on Steam. I mean, look at it. It's there. Look at the plot of the game. They just changed it slightly so they wouldn't get sued. In my opinion, this game exists because Yandere Dev let everybody know that there was a market for a game like this, and then he didn't bring something to the market to fill it. If he had let Tiny Build in there, Tiny Build would probably have that thing fixed up, have a demo out there, have the gameplay, and then have an actual working game, and he could be sitting pretty on a lot of money right now. But no, instead, it's tea and crumpets doing it. Tea and cake. Tea and cake, okay? The thing about it is, they started this game, whenever they started it, they had to start it after he did his. After he put his out there, started development on his. He's still developing his game. Their game is already out. Not only is it on Steam, but it's on the Google Play Store. Now, I'm pretty sure Yandere Dev has made a lot of money off of his crowdfunding as well as his, the ads and stuff on his videos. He has a YouTube channel. He gets a lot of views. So he's probably doing pretty well. But I gotta say, I question his decision making, and I'm not the only one. There's video after video after video about this, spanning over several years, talking about this one game and its development, or lack thereof. I also think there may be some NSFW type stuff in there that have people kind of holding on and separates the game a little bit from other games. It's very good at getting people attached to the various characters in the game before the game was even launched, so good on him for that. The worst business decision he's actually made is firing Tiny Build, who he essentially told to take a hike, which I'm amazed that they didn't look at everything he was doing and go, hey dude, you in your game are kind of shady. We don't really know if we want to have our name connected with you. Then again, this was a few years ago. But the lesson we can take away from this, don't let your ego get in the way of success. And I think all of us as creators might want to keep that in mind. Even myself, I've been a victim of that myself. Victor Lock Demon Hunter, I should have been working on that years ago. Ego got in the way of that, and I didn't, it took me years to get back to doing Victor and Epitaph Bread and Salt and all the stuff I'm doing right now, including Ashen's thing. So with that, guys, if you want to see more of Yandere Dev, like I say, it's a deep, deep rabbit hole, especially if you get into some of the personal life stuff and some of the other stuff, the outside of game development stuff that he was getting into. That's going to be a thing, but links are in the description. Also, don't forget Hexcraft Mechanics. We went live yesterday, so go check that out. If you like supernatural action, urban fantasy, things like Blade, Constantine, Underworld, check this book out. You're going to love it. Hexcraft Mechanics issue 2. You can get issue 1, and you can also get Ultimate Control. I've thrown that in there too, so you can get that as well. Link is in the description. You guys take it easy. Hasta.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. It's so